Right, you know all the detail. The two major parties of the federal election had a big slump in their primary votes, all-time lows in many jurisdictions. In Victoria in particular, the Liberals, of course, lost their heartland seats around Melbourne, the Blue Ribbons. Big swings in the outer parts of Melbourne against the Labor Party. And seeking to capitalise on all of this, as well as a much resented and toxic Premier and a weak opposition, the New Victorians Party is pitching itself as the centrist alternative at the Victorian election on the 22nd of November. Joining me now is the party's founder, Bill Lang, the current director of Small Business Australia. Bill, thank you for your time. I think there's a lot of people in Victoria who don't like the idea that Daniel Andrews will get over the line because the Victorian opposition, they'd say, is not landing much of a blow. Why are people walking away from the two majors, and how are you going to deliver for Victorians?
G'day, Peter. Look, and thanks for having us. There's 90% of people here in Victoria consider themselves ignored by all the major political parties. Great to hear that the new leader of the Federal Liberal Party is now remembering what's been forgotten in terms of the forgotten Australians. But here in Victoria, 90% feel absolutely ignored, and never more ignored and unheard in terms of what's happened in the last couple of years down here in Victoria. No amount of signing petitions helped. No amount of talking to their MPs helped. They just got given the party line. And when we started talking with them and then conducting a lot of research with people saying, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? You know, we looked at what was involved in getting a party started, and we started the Victorians Party. And we have been overwhelmed by the grassroots support from right across Victoria, from everyday Victorians, never involved in politics before, that basically have had enough. They're saying enough is enough. We want to help. We want to be candidates. How does it all work? And so the Victorians Party, we've got more than 100 people have already applied to be candidates, but we will be running candidates in every of the 88 lower house seats, at least 2 to 3 in each of the 8 upper house regions. And our game is to be the third force and to achieve at least 1 in 6 people voting 1 for the Victorians Party, the big V1, vote 1 for the Victorians, and we will, worst case scenario, control the upper house, get rid of the riffraff, the 11 minor fringe parties that did all the dirty deals during the pandemic, got us the pandemic legislation, rolled over and gave the government whatever they wanted. This is a people power movement to get the politicians to start listening and start delivering so that the people are the masters rather than the slaves.
Right, it's a pretty crowded market. How are you going to avoid, say, splitting the vote out there in the community and by default helping Daniel Andrews survive?
Look, I think the best thing we can look at is what happened in New South Wales, where we had a very good independent basically slay the Goliath in Christina Keneally without a big budget, with a lot of noise, unlike what happened with the Teals, but grassroots organisation. We're playing to get the first vote. And whether that comes from a past Liberal voter, a past Labor voter, a past Greens voter, just like Di Lee achieved, we are looking to achieve the same thing, Peter.
All right, well, local candidates will matter. Bill Lang, all the very best. We'll stay right across what you're doing and your advocacy too for small business. Thank you for your time.